Lucy Clark, football referee, and this is totally unscripted and first time I've ever done anything like this, so please just bear with me. I think I've been asked to come today basically to tell my story, obviously that culminated in last August, me coming out to the world literally in the newspapers about being a transgender football referee. So my story, Lucy Clark, this is me, the song that The Greatest Showman has made famous, and I think for a lot of transgender people really means a lot. So I thought that was a little good tagline. So, there we are. As a baby, I had a pink and white teddy that literally came with me everywhere I went. This was obviously before I knew about my gender, but the fact that I liked a pink teddy back in the early 70s kind of tells the story. There was lots of photos of me with this pink teddy. Unfortunately, over the years, they've got lost. But for me, when I look back at my life, the fact that I had this pink teddy obviously meant a lot, really, because a little boy in the 70s wouldn't really have a pink teddy. So for me, that's a real poignant thing. So this is me, early school years. Not very happy there, as you can see. Quite happy, top left there. School football team. Football was a very important part of my childhood. From as young as I can remember, it was football. I'd get home from school, I'd play football. At school, I'd get to school early so I could play football. Lunchtime, I'd play football. That for me was just what I loved doing, was playing football. I think a lot of it was because I was not bad at it, which was obviously a good start. But it stopped me from doing the stuff that the other boys were doing, which was playing soldiers and run-outs or what have you not, or fighting, which for me was not something that I really wanted to do. I had no interest in that. When I was kind of forced into doing that, didn't really enjoy it. So for me, football was my release. I would just do anything I could to play football. And here we are again, looking quite smug down there. I did actually score 9 goals that day. It's a true story. In an 11-0 victory, and myself there with this is a little league team, national nippers, and again you can see we was fairly successful, which was good. This one here with the little league was where I kind of started refereeing as well. Don't know how little leagues are run today, but back in the day, I used to have two separate leagues, 3 games throughout the day. So I would play in one, and then in the other 2, I'd be involved and I'd run the line. So that was my first foray into officiating. I was kind of about 10 or 11 years old, and again, got me involved with football. I used to have a reserve team pool there, which were for the real young lads that were not big enough to play in the actual teams, and I used to stay after and run that. Again, just really to be involved with football, because that was something that I just loved doing. It kind of took me up to teenage years. I kind of knew something was not right in them days. Again, didn't want to do the things that the other boys were doing unless it involved football. Teenage years, obviously hormones started, and at this point I kind of knew that my gender was not the one that I was assigned to. Again, we're now sort of in the early 80s. There wasn't the internet. I couldn't discuss it with anyone. They'd have thought I was completely bonkers if I go around and say, hey, actually, I'm a girl. So, teenage years left me to this, which were hard times. So, this is Bannon House in Sutton, 15 floors high, and something that I used to live on the road where that was. And I would go to the top of Bannon House, wanting to jump. Oh, excuse me. So, that for me is quite a poignant photo. I spent hours stood on the 15th floor thinking, the only way out of this to sort my head out is to jump. People have jumped off there, and it's very sad. And I actually felt jealous that they'd had the actual guts to jump off the top. Thankfully, I'm here now, and I never did, but I spent God knows how many times stood at the top of that 15th floor. We got red wine and tablets. I did try to take my life when I was about 15. Homemade red wine, apparently I drank about 4 litres of it. Along with a load of tablets, because to me that was the only way out. So I went home, and again, at that age, you know, you had curfews of time you had to be home, and mine was 10 o'clock, so I would always be home at 10 o'clock. On this particular evening, I was back home at about 8 o'clock. I don't remember anything about it. All this had happened about 15 doors away from where I lived. I just come straight in, went straight upstairs, and my mum heard a thud, and that was me collapsing on the bathroom floor. So she's come up, and I was completely obviously out of it. She knew something was seriously wrong, so she took us straight up to the hospital where they pumped my stomach, and obviously saved my life. Again, we're now in the mid-80s. They just thought it was drink. There wasn't the network of support that we've got nowadays. Whereas now, if a child would do something along these lines, there'd obviously be counsellors, etc., that would help them through it. But I didn't have anything back then. It was just, you know, me trying to be the person I am, not being able to tell anyone the reason why I've done it. Thankfully, I wasn't successful. But I think a lot of teenage people, you know, the suicide, they say the statistics of people that actually attempt suicide is ridiculously high. Those that succeed is high as well. And again, a lot of them that succeed, people probably don't know, it is the fact that they are down transgender. Thankfully now, you know, they've got the support of the internet and what have you not. So hopefully them figures are going to get better and lower. But for me, yeah, you see I got emotional. They're emotional pictures because they've taken to a dark place where I was going through my teenage years. Anyway, as you can see, I've got the London accent, and to the world, and the persona I gave to everyone, I was a proper geezer, alright mate. And I think I played that part very well. Little did they know when I was going home, or I was being somebody else when I was alone. But to the world, I was this macho man that was a bit of a chap, shall we say. Just great acting, really, because I think that's how the world, for me, perceived me to be. So I was this person to everyone that was that knew me, and there's people that were friends back then. Were like, whoa, hang on, but is this the same person that I was portraying what I considered to be a male and a person in the sort of late 80s, 90s. And that was me. I was a bit of a geezer to, friends and family that knew me. Lots of things changed for me when I met my wife, Avril, year 2000. Obviously, previous to this, we had the internet, so I had been able to do research and realise that, hey, I am not the only person that feels this way, and I'm not this weirdo that I kind of got in my head, that I was ashamed that I had these thoughts, because it didn't seem right. So I've been able to do the research, and I knew that I was transgender, which obviously wasn't a word back then. It was transsexual or transvestite. But I kind of, I've been able to do research, realise that I wasn't the only person in the world that actually did feel this way. But it was very much behind closed doors. I never went out as myself. I'd get home, and when I was at home alone, then I could, you know, be myself to myself, but nobody else knew. It was a big, massive, dark secret that I had. I was previously married as well. Got married young because that was the thing that geezer that you saw on the slide before was. So I got married. I did have a couple of children, 2 sons, but I hid how I felt to absolutely everyone. Then I met this lady in 2000. I fell in love with her fairly quickly. To me, now I'm a trans lesbian, I'm attracted to women. I was very attracted to Avril, and she was very attracted to this geezer. Once I realised that it was, you know, I love this woman, and I couldn't hold her life for the rest of my life. So fairly early on in our relationship, we got drunk. Not on red wine, I hasten to add, I can't understand the smell of that now. Got drunk, went back to our hotel room. We always had a relationship where we could talk open and frankly, and now was the time to tell her. So I did, and I was petrified, I was shaking like a leaf, but I knew that if I had, for me, my own sanity, I couldn't live this life for the rest of my life. So I confided all of how I felt, who I felt I was, to Avril. Thankfully she didn't run a mile. We did take her to a hotel that was quite far away. She stayed, we cried, we talked. Following day we talked some more, and you know, it was now there. She understood who I was, which was great. She wanted me to be me. Obviously, we've got family. We've now got a daughter who's 16, and it just wasn't right to tell the world about me. So we lived separate, not separate lives, 2 different lives. And we started going out, so I could actually be me. As you can see, I'm an Arsenal fan. That was us very early on. And we found this community. We found this community online. Back then it was Yahoo groups, there wasn't obviously Facebook and stuff. And we found that there was nights out where hundreds of people like me went to. It was like, well, we had this whole new world. Opened up a big can of worms, and we started to have nights out in London, in Milton Keynes, built a community, and it allowed me to be who I was and grow into the person that hopefully I like to think I am today. Sad thing was, when these nights finished, I'd have to drive back home, and then I'd have down days because I was back to being this guy again that everybody knew. Sometimes when we go out, I come back dressed as me, which was amazing, actually being myself, and we get to a mile down the road, and I'd have to take all my makeup off. Thankfully this is not a wig now, I'm not lying, there's a few little extensions going on. But back there, you know, I'd have to take the wig off, take the makeup off, take the clothes off, and become this guy so I could return back home to how everyone see me. I could be myself at home, but obviously going out, I would still be this guy. Still love football. Unfortunately, a knee injury put paid to my my playing days, but I decided to become a manager. I'm too successful one either. So I took this team over. I will tell you a little bit of the story because it's football related. I love football. When I took over in October, bottom of the league with 2 points, and we ended up winning the league and the cup that season. And we went on and progressed. It was Risdon Wood, made a bit of a name for ourselves. We then become FC Risdon, and I actually got offered the manager's job at Stansted, which was in the Essex Senior League, which I took, but by now I'd moved back down to Surrey, and that never really happened because I'd moved back down, and it just become really, really awkward. But these were great days, but I would go to these games, and then I would go home and be a completely different person to the one that all these guys knew. And none of them knew my secret. And there's some people there that are friends for life now, and have accepted me as the me. But back then, I'd be this person when I go out to work and I'm out of the front door. When I'm back at home, I was a different person, and then when we went out, obviously, a different person. So it was hard because there's lots of friends and colleagues there that I was lying to, for all intents and purposes. And a few since I found out, I've said, why didn't you tell me? And it's like, I couldn't, I couldn't tell you because I didn't know how you would take it. Now I know how they would. I would have told them years ago, but back then, their friendship, really meant a lot to me. But it felt really bad, the fact that I had to go and technically lies to them, when they'd ask where I'd be going at the weekend, it'd be lies. I'd be going here, I'm going there. We was going out and doing stuff where I could be me, but I couldn't say, oh yeah, I was going to a nightclub and dress up, short skirt, high heels. They wouldn't have understood. I don't think they would have understood. Anyway, I moved back down to Surrey, as I said, and I'd always done the football refereeing, as I alluded to it earlier. I was running the line and doing a bit of refereeing as and when I could, when I was sort of 10 years old. So I've always loved the game and always loved to be involved in the game. Couldn't play anymore, so I managed. Now I've moved back to Surrey, and I've got no team to manage. So what should I do? I should take up refereeing again. So went refereeing with the intent was to look at players in the local leagues before I get that manager's job, because I've had this great record as a manager. But nobody wanted me as a manager down here, so they didn't know what I was like as a manager. And by now, started to progress in as refereeing. So, refereeing it was. You see Sutton United, and actually on the Surrey, the Surrey FA have got this big poster, which that's me there, obviously, which I'm on. Somebody did mention to them about 2 weeks ago, because that poster was still being used. I better get rid of that poster now and update it again. So I was refereeing. Also took up refereeing secretary, because I need that involvement. As a kid, I'd do the magazines for the clubs that I played for. Then when I became manager, we progressed and had big clubs. I used to do the website. I mean, it was quite groundbreaking in the fact we had games videoed and stuff like that. Now I need a referee, and you just turn up as a ref. Nobody knows you're there till 5 minutes before kick-off. That's when they worry. Oh, where's the ref? So, I become referee secretary. Referee secretary for many leagues, carried on refereeing. Can't just sit there. I used to wear knee pads. There was nothing wrong with my knees. I had to hide the fact that I shaved my legs, and I was worried that people would notice. So I'd wear knee pads on my knees. I go to games when the other officials, and again, it's lying, and I'm not a liar. I've spent my life lying. I go to games and say, oh, I've been at a game this morning. That's why I've arrived with all the Under Armour on, under the suit. It wasn't, it was because I was hiding the fact that I was shaving legs and a great big tattoo on my leg, because I didn't want them to see it, because I was hiding actually who I was. So to all my officials, I've apologised to them all, and they've kind of accepted it. But I was just being, to me, it was football, so I'd be that guy when I was refereeing, and then get home and be a different person. And it was hard. It stopped me progressing as a ref, I feel. I've always been band aid, which I'm proud of, and get good reviews from clubs, because I think I'm firm but fair as a ref. But I couldn't progress, because as a referee, you're in charge of the assistants, which is great, because what I would do, I'd say to the assistants, meet us at the ground at 2, and I'd get there at 1:30, get my kit on. I've had to go and do a warm-up, I was having a little bit of an injury or whatever, Again, lies, but it allowed me to still referee at that level, and hide the fact of who I was. And there'd always be showering a can after the game, and so I'm going home, and then I'd have my shower at home rather than showering in front of the other officials, because I was obviously hiding, changes to the body, etc. And with progressing wise as a referee, couldn't progress because suddenly if I go and progress, I then got to go and work with a referee that's higher than me. And that referee's going to say to me, meet me at 1 o'clock at Clackett Lane Services, and I've got to get to the ground with him and get changed with him. And for me, that was really awkward. So I didn't progress as a ref, which for me is sad, because I like to feel I'm refereeing at a good level now. I feel that I could have possibly be 3 or 4 steps higher than I actually am. But I couldn't do it because I had to hide. Anyway, I was going to give up refereeing because it got to the point where there's changes to my body. You can't hide a pair of boobs, especially in a referee kit. And there was changes to my body that were happening. You know, I was being me, myself a lot more. So the ultimate was, I've got to give up refereeing, which was the plan, you know, because Avril was constantly saying, don't give it up, you love it. Football's been my life all of the way through. But I just felt that I couldn't continue with it had to be my transition or football. I didn't think I could do them both. And to be fair, football saved me. Playing football as a youngster, growing up, it gave me that thing to do, and football saved me. But then possibly in the latter years, football kind of held me back, because I didn't transition because I wanted to carry on refereeing, I wanted to carry on being involved with football, and I kind of felt there had to be the day where it was going to be one or the other. Avril kept going on, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Yeah, carry on refereeing, you know, everyone will be fine. And I didn't think that they would. But the year before last, I had some heart attacks as well, which put me out of the game for a little while on what was meant to be my last season. And then I thought, no, do you know what, we'll give it a go. So we contacted the FA, spoke to Funky, sort of said, hey, I'm a football ref and I'm transgender. And I need the world to know that I am transgender, not the world, but I need the football world to know that I'm transgender, and I want to continue, you know, help. To be fair, they didn't really know what to do because they've never had a transgender referee come to them before, so there wasn't somebody, oh yeah, we'll do what, you know, it hadn't happened. So the FA, as much as they wanted to help, were a little bit unsure exactly what to do. I spoke to a few of the higher people in the referee community, and they sort of, you know, said, well, what do you want to do? Where do you want to ref? They were being supportive as best they could. They didn't really know what to do. Some of you may have heard of Kelly Maloney. Kelly's a good friend of mine, and ironically, the day I spoke to the FA, Kelly rang me, and we're just sitting having a chat. And I told Kelly that I spoke to the FA, and you know, I was going to continue refereeing. She's like, that'll make papers. I was like, ah, okay. I hadn't really thought about that, to be fair. So with that, Kelly said, look, leave it with me. She's been there, her story's come out. She knows the right people. So she contacted the Mirror, and Dave was like, yeah, we'll run the story. And the thing was, they allowed us to have edit on the copy, which would then allow to make sure that the story was written in a positive way. So we met up with the Mirror, told her my story, and we was kind of thinking, oh, you know, she said it's going to run this Sunday, so we're like, yeah, that's fine. Was expecting it to be sort of page 20, and then she texted us on the Saturday night. She said, right, story's running tomorrow. There's a bit on the front page and a bit on for pages 4 and 5. So we're like, oh my god. So we was expecting, we was expecting, you know, a little bit just up in the corner, transgender ref that have turned to page 4 or 5. So we decided to watch Sky News that night, when they do the newspaper review, which they did. So we'd had a few glasses of wine, and we'd had the neighbours round, and we were suddenly greeted with that. So yeah, slightly more than a little bit on the front page, but hey, that's it. My story's now there for the world to see, literally. And it was madness, I'm not going to lie. It was, I had my first game on that day. So when you're refereeing, obviously you can see there's a dodgy wig going on there. When you're refereeing, I'm not going to turn up in, you know, dress and full makeup. I'm arriving at ref with my hair up to referee a game of football. So there was some other newspapers that that turned up there and you know, got their photos and what have you not, but they all covered the story positively because the story in the Mirror was positive, and even though they used photos that I didn't like, to be fair, I didn't like the photos the Mirror used, nobody likes their photos, do they? The story was run positive, which was, for me, was really good, and it inspired. I got lots of supportive messages from people, old people that I hadn't seen for years were suddenly being in contact, and the support was really humbling and overwhelming. And everyone, you know, obviously, I think if the positive message is out there, like on my Facebook, first thing people put positive messages and then everyone else followed. And it was just a complete whirlwind. It was a real mad few days, but it allowed me to go and referee as me. I don't have to now hide in the changing rooms. I don't have to get there and lie that I've got the, you know, go and have fitness tests that I don't need, well, maybe. But you know, I don't have to lie to everyone. I can go there and be myself, which is great. The clubs have been amazing for me. Seeing my name on the programme was just amazing. There's not this name of this person who I don't want to be, who I'm not, but everyone knows this other person. So we had my name there on the programme, and now it's great. You know, I'm actually going to the games as myself. I don't have to wear a tie now, which is amazing. And everyone knows me, and everyone's been really, you know, as I say, when I go to football, I'm not wearing makeup. I'm just putting my hair up, wearing my suit, which is obviously a proper suit now that I want to be wearing. And these are clubs that I've been to, and they knew the old self. And now I'm going to this club as me, and everyone's been great. You know, the players have been great, the managers, the coaches, everyone's been really, really respectful. There was one incident which has been in a couple of things that I've done, which is great, and I'll tell you about it. And there was a player that played for Chessington and Hook, and they was playing Epsom and York, so it was a real local derby, and this guy had just moved from one club to the other, and it was a real, it's two teams that do not like each other. And I had to speak to this player, step approach as a referee. We'll do the little quiet word, and then we'll do the public word where we call the player over so everyone can see that we're having a chat with this player. The captain said something to him like, you know, leave it, button it, whatever you lot. And the player turned around and went, and he was talking to me. And the captain went, it's a she, not a he. Well done, the captain. So that was fab. But then the player turned around and he went, he or she, I don't care, it's the ref. Didn't realise what he was saying, but to me, it's amazing because that's all I am. I'm the referee, and he hit the nail on the head with that comment. He didn't know that comment was going to be used today or what have you not, or whenever I speak to people about it. For me, that kind of hit the nail on the head. I'm a football referee, and when I get out there, I just wear my referee kit, and I've got my whistle, which is pink, as you might have seen from the previous photos, which was my little disguise when I went in with my little pink whistle. But that's it, I am just a football referee. And so that's what I will look like on a day when I'm refereeing. Still got my pink whistle, because to me that was something that I used. It was just my little bit of femininity that I could take onto the pitch. But yeah, I'm now just a referee. It's just out there to do a job, and hopefully it can inspire other people to just be themselves, especially in football, because when you're out there on the football pitch, you can forget about everything else, and that was what was great for me. When I was out on a football pitch, I could forget about the fact that I was transgender and I didn't fit to who I was. I could just go and play football, manage football, or now referee. And it's a great release. That's why it is just a ball game. But what a ball game it is, isn't it? It's you know, I think we've all got the common thing. We must have something that we like about the game in here. For me, it's my life. And yeah, that's me now.
Fantastic.
Well done.